we wanted to just put a little bow on the Olympics and just talk about some of the standout performances, for better or worse, in the tournament, and just ask whether they were real or fake. And that just means, like, is it going to translate to the NBA? And so the poster boy for doing stunningly well in FIBA, but struggling to various degrees depending on the time of the season in the NBA is Josh Giddey. So, Wes, we have to ask you about your countryman, Josh Giddey, and whether you think that his FIBA performance from particularly this summer is going to translate over to the NBA. That is his aggression, his efficiency.
I'm not sure if any of the question marks about his game were answered. Maybe some of the things that people were suggesting that he's the worst player ever, like, okay, that's a bit overreactionary, but I think the base of his game, he's good at being a creator and a scorer. It's just how does he fit into a team that has those guys that are just better, if you know what I mean? Like on Australia, we don't have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or Jalen Williams that take the ball out of his hands that are more efficient scorers. I'm sure if he went to Chicago, if he went to any NBA team and was the number one option, I wouldn't have too many concerns over it. He could put up 18, 8 and 8. But in the NBA, that's not enough. You need to have complementary pieces. You need to be able to work off the ball. You need to be able to shoot. You need to be able to do so many things, defend. It's this weird thing where he can do like quite a lot of things decently, but how does he fit into a more winning environment? That's where it's hard to grasp his fit. What is he going to do complementarily as a complementary piece to help these other teams? He'll go to Chicago. I'm sure he'll put up pretty good numbers and people will be like, wow, he's not terrible because he's not a terrible player. But how will that fit in when those other guys around him develop? And then all of a sudden he's tasked with not controlling the ball, not doing what he wants to do, if you know what I mean. He's an okay player, but it's just where does he fit? How does he fit?
Yeah. There's tons of players like that in the league when they go to the right place and then it like fits perfect and everyone's like, damn, I'm so happy for him. I don't think the Bulls is going to be that.
Why do you say that? Just
because I think they don't have like the whole vision yet for the roster. I mean, I could be wrong. You know, it was different when it's like you have an Aaron Gordon who wasn't really working in Orlando, and then he comes. I know like these are different players, but he comes to Denver and is able to like translate areas of his game to fit that roster. And I just think the whole like overall archetype's not formed
yet. That's almost like my point though, because I think Aaron Gordon has those distinct skills that are useful if in the right environment where he's so athletic, good defender, good lob threat and all those things, where Giddey doesn't have that. He's playmaking, but even as a playmaker, you need the ball in your hands. Where it's like he can do a lot of things decently well, where in Chicago, like he'll probably have that license.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more concerned about if you sent him to a good team, like when he was on OKC.
Right.
What does he do when the ball isn't in his hands?
Yeah.
So I think I don't have too many concerns. I think he'll put up decent numbers in Chicago. Maybe not. I don't know. It depends on his role.
Yeah.
But like, is that going to lead to anything? There are countless guys in the NBA. If you gave the ball to, they'd be able to put up good numbers. But that's not enough. Like you need to be able to have those skills that will work on a winning team.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have good numbers too. Like, I think like he'll have to go to another like contending team if he can like shape his game in Chicago. Like the next team would be like where it might pay off, unless the Bulls like do some moves. But yeah, no, I agree.
You're talking about the Bulls doing moves.
Yeah,
I guess Josh Giddey was like the move, right?
Yeah.
So the next player I have on the list is actually his teammate Dyson Daniels, and you've talked about Josh Giddey not having necessarily the athletic tools to know like how he's going to be this complementary piece. I have felt that Dyson Daniels is a great defender and he can be this like really adept playmaker on the ball, just as good court vision, things like that. But his like scoring aggression was always a big question mark for me. With Team Australia, he was almost exclusively a play finisher, right? And I actually thought that he really improved with his aggression in that role, just like knowing like, oh, I have to shoot here, or I need to drive here, or like I need to be the one to score the ball once that advantage has been created for me. Do you think that is going, like, was that real or fake? Is that going to translate into the season next year on the Atlanta Hawks, right? Where he's going to be on a team that has a really high level creator next to him.
Yeah, I think these guys are such interesting like case studies because over like Giddey can do more things, but I'd probably prefer Dyson Daniels on my team going forward because I know he's going to be a great defender.
Yeah.
The 3-point shot is the question mark, but to be honest, it looked really good for Australia. He still hesitates a bit, but he can shoot it. And that playmaking, although he's not going to run an offense, if you give him the ball, like even if he sets a screen and then you give him the ball out of the short roll and he can find players, whereas he's got so many complementary skills, I can see him really being an impactful piece. How good he'll be, I think, will depend on how confident he becomes because he does have the skill set to be more of a scorer. Like he can handle the ball. He's got like floaters. He can pass, but just he hesitates a lot. He picks the ball up. He just stops sometimes with that where the confidence is at. But I think there were enough to see from what he did for Australia that for Atlanta, for a team that already has Trey that will have the ball in his hands so much and create, if he just starts off being that spot up shooter, being a great defender, and then slowly implements other parts of his game as he gets more confidence, which is never a guarantee, but at least he can keep himself on the floor, is what I'm saying. Like, if he can do those two things really well, which he did for Australia, he was knocking down threes consistently and not like pretty decent, like catch and shoot threes as well. And his defense, I don't think has ever been questioned. Like he was already close to like an elite guard defender pretty much once he got into the NBA. Like he's that good. So I have high hopes for him, to be honest.
I think I agree about Dyson. I really didn't have questions about the defense. It was more like working in an off-ball role on offense. How is that going to work out when he was so hesitant whenever he was put into a scoring situation, even with an advantage created, right? And on the Pelicans, to be fair, it wasn't often that solid advantages were being created for him on a consistent basis. And maybe that is going to change a little bit more, like just mindset wise, knowing that you're going to have the defender will be caught off guard or you will be wide open, like for sure, as opposed to sort of the defense having time to reset because the Pelicans were in a very strange situation when it came to their playmaking on that team. My next question is about Jamal Murray. He really struggled, particularly in an off-ball role. A lot of people were giving him a pass on his overall Olympic performance, saying this is his role with Team Canada. He's not used to it. It wasn't like, totally consistent with coming off the bench and minutes and whatever. Like, is he on the ball? Is he off the ball? He has to share the floor with all these other creators. But if we want to run with that sort of explanation for his struggles in the Olympics, one of the things that I would be concerned about as a Nuggets fan is, does this mean that he's just not going to be able to play off the ball anymore next to somebody like Russell Westbrook, for example? So were Jamal's struggles with making himself consistently a threat off the ball something that is going to hinder the Nuggets' ability to find lineups that work when he and Russ are both on the floor, if Russ has to play on the ball?
I just think it depends on his shot because the shot was really bad. And I was more confident in his off ball role because I was just like, he's a good shooter. And like, he used to be a really good catch and shoot shooter too. Like, he had good catch and shoot numbers. And he hadn't been doing that as much with the Nuggets because has the ball in his hands more and he's going to the step back or whatever. So I was excited to see it. I'm disappointed that the off-ball role didn't translate more like I thought. But I think if he's like on and the rotations are right, because he was coming off the bench, he's starting the game, and let's say he's staggering and he gets a little bit of time with Russ, and Russ is a really good passer, I could see like it still working out and Jamal hitting some threes. So I'm still like hopeful. I'm not all the way out on it right now.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say it's a different play style as well. Russ has to say Shea, who's running the offense. Russ will really like try to collapse, although he doesn't collapse the defense as much as he used to, obviously, but he'll be that run and gun kind of guy. He'll try to get in the paint, try to kick it out. And I think it'll be in small doses anyway. I don't expect Jamal and Russ to be on the floor too much together unless Russ just plays so well that you can't keep him off it. Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see. It's kind of a thing where you haven't seen Jamal Murray with that other guard for like when Monte Morris, they played a few minutes together, but like not very regularly. And obviously he's not a Russ kind of player. Monte played off ball a fair bit as well because he could space. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not exactly sure what to expect, but like Will said, I don't think I'd be all out on Jamal. Like if his shooting goes, obviously that's a bigger concern, but he's been a consistently great shooter, to be honest, when you consider the volume and the types of shots he takes to like at least warrant being a solid guy in that role. Maybe he's not maximized to the most, but I don't think he'll be a liability.
No, I agree. I think that I think it does depend on his shot, especially on a team that is, not exactly rich on shooting, especially off ball shooting. So if you're trying to construct lineups that are going to work for Russell Westbrook, ideally you're not foreclosing upon another option that includes one of the better shooters on the team. So yeah, I also hope that it's fake. Okay, so I'm going to skip down to our last player here, one that both of you were very impressed with in these Olympics. That's Guershon Yabusele, who was the do-it-all guy for Team France, right? Playing power forward. He was attacking mismatches. He was rebounding. He was playmaking some, cutting off ball, all of the things. Real or fake? And I guess I would just follow that up with, why didn't he work out in the NBA the first time? Because he had, what was it, like a 10-day contract?
He was on the Celtics, I think. He was a very bit part player. Like he didn't play much at all.
Well, I'm just glad Joel Embiid did not choose to play for France, because it was more opportunity for Yabusele to play. And I was impressed by him. I'm going to say it's real, and he's coming to the NBA, and he's a good hustle player, and he's athletic around the rim. Some teams are looking for that athleticism, and he could fill some holes on some teams.
It reminds me of like a Jason Tate kind of player where it has that defensive versatility, like the strength. And although he's not the tallest, that's kind of the question mark. Like, how will that translate at the NBA level? It worked against USA, which is always the best test you can have because they got a ton of bigs.
But all NBA players, right?
Yeah, exactly. How will that dunker spot ability translate when it's not? Like Aaron Gordon is a great example where he's 6'10".
Right.
You can throw it above the rim, where he was more operating. He was dunking, but like it was more using craft and his size rather than like just raw athleticism.
Yeah.
So how will that translate in that role?
Right.
It's interesting. I think he definitely has earned at least a chance at the NBA from this, where he has enough complementary skills. You could see it working. The 3-point shot is obviously, like a lot of players, that'll be a big thing as well.
He like had a fake handoff, or he rejected a screen or something on that LeBron dunk. And so it was like, yeah.
I was just going to say, I was really impressed with him. So I was just kind of thinking about, like, there are multiple players that are like in the NBA right now on rosters, like that have standard deals, whatever, that I'm like, I feel like he could like fill in, right? Like, what was his name? KJ Martin was like on an NBA team last year. He does have a little bit more of that like bouncy athleticism, but in terms of just like kind of Swiss Army knife player who can like do a little bit of everything and like has some size and can do some of that like cleanup work, that garbage man type work, because he actually made a second team all Olympics. I didn't realize that they were, assigning these types of teams, but they did, and he made it along with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think Giannis made the second team along with Bogdan Bogdanovic as well. Obviously, the stars, the main five guys, including Dennis Schroeder, Jokic, Steph, LeBron, were on the all-stars. They didn't call it first team, but they had like all-stars and then second team. So I wanted to ask about Yabusele. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of our show. Wes, thank you so much for sitting with us, bearing with us. Just tell the people where they can find you and your very fun videos.
Yeah, sure. Just 6man on YouTube. Normally, I'm trying to make videos 5 to 6 times a week. So,
oh my gosh,
you're a workhorse. Oh my god.
I'm going away in a few weeks, so I'm trying to get out as many different videos as possible because I kind of want to talk about every team, every player as much as possible. So
I know. Well, good luck. With like the IOC stuff, because
no Olympics clips.
They've been taking down everything.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thanks, man. It was awesome.
Thank you. It was
Yeah,
cool
we really
spending time.
appreciated it. And to the audience, please remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, and leave us a review. We're on all the audio platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. Share us with your friends, share us with your family, share us with your enemies, share us with your family's enemies. Follow us on Instagram now. We're posting shorts on TikTok and reels on Instagram as well, at What's in a Game NBA. We also have a new clips channel on YouTube for people that just like those quick hits. It's at What's in a Game NBA Clips on YouTube. And always remember that winning is fun and losing sucks.